Good morning and welcome to our crafting session today. It is 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday the 22nd of March 2023. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. My name is Jenny McCormac and I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I'm based in the market town of Brackley, which is in Northamptonshire in the UK. This week, our stamp set of the week I've chosen is Two-Tone Flora, this one here. And what I like to do most weeks, not every week, but most weeks, is concentrate on a particular stamp set or product. So it could be embossing folders, it could be dies, but mostly stamp sets, and give you some different ideas on how you could use that stamp set to make most typically cards. That's the majority of my creations are cards. I do some boxes and envelopes and things like that, but cards are my main focus. So Two-Tone Flora is what we're using this week. And if you joined me on Monday, you will have seen me create this card here. There was another one as well. And I've just stamped some of the flowers on a circle. That's from the Stylish Shapes dies. And if you haven't seen that, you can catch the video on Facebook here, or you might find it easier to find it on YouTube, only because it's just easier to find. It's in date reverse order. You can also search on there for my stamp set of the week, so I have some categories on there, so you can watch my playlist for stamp set of the week and you'll be able to see all of those put together. So this particular stamp set, as you can imagine, Two-Tone Flora has 2 stamps for each flower. You can use them individually, you don't have to use them together. Morning Catherine, morning Yuta, well done for making it. I'm impressed you made it live. I know you're very busy. So there are 2 sets of flowers for each of these, and there's some foliage as well, and there are dies to match this, and it's one of the dies that I'll be using today. So on Monday we did this card here. This is in Mango Melody. And then yesterday at Coffee and Card in Brackley I did this one here. So this is Orchid Oasis. And the 2 colours actually come from a single ink pad, and I just stamp off one of the layers, that sort of fill-in layer, before I stamped it onto my card. And then if you caught us yesterday evening, I created this card here. So I used an embossing folder in the background, wrapped some ribbon around it, and then I stamped and die cut the flowers to put on the front, and these have been added with dimensionals, and then I added a few little dots in the same pink, and then I have this for the inside, so I've just stamped the larger and the smaller flower, and then there is an envelope to match. So that is the dies that cut out the images themselves. But also, as I showed you yesterday, we have this lovely large die that cuts out a beautiful piece of card. So this is our basic black card. I've also got some that I cut in basic white. Basic black is traditionally quite difficult to do detailed die cutting because it's quite a fibrous card. So I popped this one through the machine 4 times in total, and I did also add a layer of used grid paper, just thin, or you could use thin copy paper, just to make sure it cut through all of those elements. But this is just so pretty. Morning, Jeanette, and hi Kerry, good evening to you. Oh, Catherine loves all the colour choices. Thank you, Catherine. So this is actually a mistake I made. So I cut it out in the black on a larger piece of black card, and then I thought I'll trim the edge down. And what I hadn't realised was my die wasn't straight on my black card, so all I did was put my black card in my trimmer like so, cut down the side, and realised that I'd trimmed it really close to this edge here. So I've got a couple of things I could do. I could take all of the edges off and leave it with an open edge. I could also cut out just elements of this and have that as a background. So I could cut out, for example, all around here and do that as a sort of partial cut. But I've got another idea that I'm going to try, because I don't want to waste this piece, obviously. And that is to cut out a few elements of this and pop it onto my white version, so that I end up with a black and a white version. So that's my plan. I'm also just seeing, no, it doesn't quite, whether it would work if I just offset it. Hopefully you can see what I'm trying to do there. It might work if I was very careful. But I've got another idea to do first, so let's do that one and then we'll come on to the other. So this has been cut with our basic white. I can see there's a couple of pieces there that haven't popped out, but in general everything just came out, apart from some of these tiny flower centres, as you can see. It doesn't particularly bother me if there's 1 or 2 missing. It might bother some people, but I think just about got all of those. Cunning plan. Yes, we will see, Yuta. We will see. So I did think it was striking in the black, and I was thinking of doing a black on white and a white on black to see how it looked, but I'm just going to give this other one a go. So my first idea that I want to try, so obviously you can cut this in any colour and pop it onto the back of, or the front of a card, like so. And I just leave it like that. You could add a sentiment. But what I'm going to do is actually colour some of these elements in. So let's give this a go. So I've got 2 suggestions as to what I could use for colouring in. One is blend pens and pick out certain elements, and the other is a blending brush and going over certain parts of those. So what I might do is a combination, just to see, unless you have a preference that you'd like to see. So let's start with, I'm just going to start with a blending brush down here, and I haven't really decided on any colours. I've got a pink there to hand, so let's use a little bit of pink. Okay, I'm going to open this up actually. Move this out of the way. And what you could do is you could put another piece of card under here. I don't think it would work with these larger areas, but with this area here, if you were blending, you could then use this as a stencil, especially this part here. So there's another. Just wondering whether I might try that. Let's just pop this in this corner and see. So I'm going to add some pink onto this flower here. Now you may remember I did something similar to this with an embossing folder that we had or have that's very similar. I'm trying to think what it was called. Catherine says brushes rather than pens. Yeah, I think I'm with you on that, Catherine. And what would be good for this is we now have those small blending brushes. So there's a little bit of pink on that one. Let's pick up another one here. So this rose here. So I'm using the brushes really just to colour the front, but I am thinking it's going to make a pretty background, especially where you've got smaller areas. Okay, let's grab a small blending brush. So this is the small one compared to the large one. They come as a pack of 3. And let's grab, I put a bit of tape on there, if I can see some tape. Right, let's find green ink. Let's use Pear Pizzazz. Well, it wasn't that light a touch actually, to be honest. Rita, I'm just going to grab, I've got some glue dots here. Might just pop a tiny glue dot in the corner. These are ones that come from the kits, and they're really useful because they're so small. They're perfect for just holding small areas down. Like so. Right, so not particularly light touch actually, Yuta, to answer your question. Okay, so now I'm going to pick out the foliage. And what I'm going to do is put this one here so I can see where the foliage is really. And just picking that up. Now I can't decide whether I'm going to colour the whole thing or just add a few bits. Let me know what you think. Right. So we've got this set of foliage up here. Like that. So when you're using the blending brushes, you can keep your hand right at the tip and you will get very light touch. The further up you hold it, and you could even put your finger onto here. If you wanted a concentrated small area, then you could put pressure directly onto the blending brush tip. Oh, bless you, Kerry. Good night. Yes, we did, didn't we, on one of the class in a box. You're right, Catherine. Okay, so I've got that one. Let's see, we've got some foliage up here. And obviously you could just go over the whole thing with a blending brush and use it, as I say, just as a stencil. Okay, what else have we got? There's a little bit down here. And you can be quite accurate by just using the very tip or the very side of your blending brush. And the best thing to do, if you're not getting the results that you like, is to watch a few tutorials or just have a play. Even if it's on just some scrap paper. Get one of the masks or something out and have a play. Okay. Right, any more foliage? There's a little bit up there. I've got that one. There's flowers in there. A little bit on here. A little bit there. I think I've got most of the foliage. Okay, what colour should we add? Should we add in a little bit of a purple? Highland Heather. So I've got Pear Pizzazz, Melon Mambo, Highland Heather. Gosh, the big brush feels really big now. Okay, so I'm just going to apply a little bit of this on the edge. Like so. And also when you're applying the ink, it does depend on how much ink you've got in your ink pads. So if you've got well used ink pads like I have and you haven't refilled them, then you can apply more pressure both on the ink pad and on the blending brush. So you can see that this one is much lighter. I mean, it's a lighter colour anyway, but it's taking more ink and more pressure to build that up. Okay, right, I'm going to try and scoot on a little bit quicker. Otherwise you'll still be here at 11 o'clock. And let's do that one. Good morning, Brenda. Don't apologise for being late. It's just nice to have you join us. And it was lovely to see you yesterday. You did a great job. So Brenda joined us at Coffee and Card yesterday. So we're using the die, Brenda, from the stamp set that we used yesterday, our two-tone Flora. And I'm just doing a little bit of colouring with our blending brush. And let's do this one down here. I don't want to introduce too many colours, but obviously you could take your time. You could also use your blends pens, and you could use that if you wanted to be more specific about the flowers, and you could use a combination. So if I wanted this flower here to be a different colour but without blending it in, I could use our alcohol marker, which is called a blends pen because they blend together. Okay, and let's pop a little bit up in here. So obviously if you were doing this, you could take your time. Now I think this would make a lovely wedding card, similar to the one that we did yesterday with the flowers, just because of the colours I've chosen. But I do think the black on white and the white on black would be really striking as well. Okay. Hi Sue. Nice to have you join us. Let me lift this up so that you can see now, because I appreciate it's a little bit far away from the camera. There we go, so you can see how that's coming together. I don't like to have the camera too close because it can distort the view, but also it means I can't actually see what I'm doing. Just going to add a little bit of, what do you think, yellow or blue? Pale blue? Maybe pale blue? Balmy blue? Yeah. So I hope you're well, Sue, and I see your class in a box, your mail classes are going well by the looks of things. So, surrounding my desk are all the components for this month's class in the box. So I have to be careful not to move too quickly, or I risk an avalanche. Okay, so this is just a little bit of balmy blue, and I'm just letting the colours go into each other. I can see an odd bit of cut that I haven't taken out, but I'm not, as I say, it doesn't worry me particularly. Okay, let's pop a little bit in there. We'll pretend those are like forget-me-nots. Oh, sorry. Your responses have just popped up. So I've got Catherine was after yellow, and Brenda who was after pale blue. I'm sorry. I wasn't ignoring you. Oh, it was Sue. It was just to say, well done on your class in the mail that you've been working on. I've been watching you promote those, so good for you. Really pleased to see you do that. Okay. Right. I think I've got most of it. There might be a few gaps, but I'm not unduly worried. And what you could do is you could do an all over blend with a very pale colour if you wanted to, or you could start with a light coloured card. Okay, so I'm just using, this is balmy blue, and I'm just going over, filling in any holes basically, and I'm quite happy that it's merging with the greens and things. Okay. It's always lovely to see other demonstrators online and promoting things, and you two, you've been busy with videos. I'm very impressed watching your videos. Really enjoyed them. Okay, so I'm going to take this off, and I just use those mini glue dots on the back. So yeah, that does actually work, doesn't it, as a stencil. And that was only really just to see if it would work, but you can see that. So if you wanted to, you could carry on and add more depth, especially around this flower. And I appreciate this is white. It just takes time. Sue says she needs to get more confident doing more videos. It just takes time. You know what you're doing as a demonstrator. That's the thing, isn't it? And people like to see your mistakes, as you'll see in a minute. So you could carry on stenciling that. That'll make a really pretty card. Just add a little sentiment. So that's that one there. I appreciate the light may not be good for you. It's lovely and bright here. Blue skies, sunshine here today. So there's that one. So I could carry on with another element. But here's our patterned layer. So pretty. Now I've got to decide what to put it on. I might try a purple layer behind. Highland heather, possibly. Just try, as I've got a fair bit of the purple in there, like so. Although that then gets lost a little bit, doesn't it, in there? Let's see. Let's try it on. I don't normally use black for that, but that's quite stunning, isn't it? Gorgeous grape, says Yuta. Let's try. Yeah, that might be better. So what do we think? That's too light, definitely. You're quite right. I'm quite favouring the black. I think there's a lot of purple favourites going on here. So shall we go? Shall we go gorgeous grape? Keep everybody happy. And black does show the colours, you're quite right. Just going to pop a couple of these out. So I've got 2 blacks and 2 purples. So I reckon Brenda will have the casting votes. Brenda? Black or purple? Thank you, Brenda. I think they both work. It definitely needs a deep colour, that's for sure. And I could colour the edge as well if I want to. I can actually leave it white, but I could colour the edge, and I'm just going to literally place that onto the card. So let me grab a black card, just score it quickly, and I might need to trim this down slightly. So I'm just scoring this at 10.5. Brenda was telling me yesterday how pleased she is with her new trimmer and trimmer blades. They just last so much longer than our previous ones did. Just a better design. Okay, now you could turn this any which way you want. I think it's designed to go this way because the flowers are facing up slightly. So I'm going to am I going to trim it? This is the question. I would really like a border all the way round just to offset that white, because I think that would look nice. So I do need to trim this very, very slightly. Oh, bless you, Sue. I know it's a problem. Thank you, though. Yeah, so as Brenda was saying that she's had her trimmer 2 years. I didn't realise it was as long as that. And she's only just added more blades. So, I want to make sure this is nice and clean. And I want to take the tiniest bit off, and I don't want to do what I did with the black card. So I'm hoping this will do the job. Literally a millimetre. Okay, and I'm literally going to put that straight on. Do I need to take, oh, I do need to take a little bit more off on that side. I'm just going to change the blade on this. Talking about that, because I'm doing such a fine cut, and I know this one is getting towards the end. So I have 4 trimmers for class, and what I tend to do is then, and they're numbered, so I tend to keep one that I use all of the time. That doesn't always work. There we go. There we are. half a mil. Right, let's get on and get this done. Okay, so I've got a slightly uneven edge here, and the best thing to do is just take an emery board and just run it along the edge, just to get rid of that little bit of wastage where it's caught. Now let me see. Yeah, I do want to take a sliver off again. Okay. There we go. Right, sorry to keep you while I did that. So all I'm going to do, now I've cut that down, I've left the border at the top slightly bigger because this is an American sized die. So they have slightly wider, shorter cards, which is why I've got the reverse with our borders. So I've got a narrow border and a taller bit at the top. So I could trim this down and then trim a little bit off here, but I'm quite happy with that border there. And all I'm going to do is pop some dots of glue over the back, so I can put a little bit more here. I'm going to do a tiny line across the bottom. So the secret with wet glue is just to add a small amount where you need it. Tiny dots. You could use a cocktail stick if you find you struggle with the pressure. Then just put some on a little bit of plastic, or even just on the corner of your grid paper or scrap paper, and use a cocktail stick to spread a little bit. I also have glue applicators. Let me show you these. And they are like, I'll get one out. They remind me of the a tiny COVID tester. Best way I can describe it. And it's got a tiny little applicator at the end. Not very environmentally friendly, I'm afraid, because they are plastic. So you could use a wooden cocktail stick, would be a little bit more environmentally friendly, potentially. So you could use that to pick up some glue. So just a small amount, don't go mad. You can always just tuck a little bit in afterwards, and just doing on the larger areas, so on the larger leaves, the larger flowers, and just making sure I've got some in all of the corners. Yes, makeup sponge works well. Yes, it does. That's a good point. Okay, so just going to slide this all the way to the left. There we go. There we are. There is our card. Now, I don't think I want to put anything on it. I don't want to cover anything up. So I'm happy with that as it is. You could add, I guess you could add a sentiment across the middle here. For example, I've just got one here, but that would work, wouldn't it? Across the middle. I just don't want to cover up too many of the flowers. Okay, so that's number one. So that was the idea that I wanted to show you, and then the other one was going to be a black on white card. But things didn't go quite according to plan when I was prepping this morning, in that I was trimming this off and I trimmed it off unevenly, so this has got basically no border at the bottom. So what I plan to do is grab another one of these and just fussy cut a few of these elements and mount them on the top. And I have seen other demonstrators that have cut out a complete sort of section of this and used it as a backing. I don't think they were doing that because they messed up like I did. Okay, so I'm just snipping these elements, and I'm only going to do a few to give you the idea. And this would also be a good thing to do if you've die cut it and it's not come out particularly well. You could cut out the good elements. Let's just cut that there. So just tidy up that little bit there. Right, move that out of the way because it's got glue on the corner. So my idea is just to literally place a few of these back on top. So, because you can imagine what the black on white is going to look like, and the white on black. So I'm just going to snip through here. Like so. And obviously the more careful you are, the more little pieces you could get out. There we go. So I'm just trimming off any sort of extra little bits. Like so. Thanks, Catherine. Take care. Bye for now. So let me cut through these, and also you could have two together, for example. Let's try these two together. So we'll just see. Experimental. There's that one. There we go. So, and you, if you wished, you could do this with multiple colours. Might be slightly painful, mightn't it? So you could do as many of those as you wish. And now I'm thinking, I don't actually want too many, and I may not use those at the top. I might just do a cluster down here. We've got this piece here. So it's a little bit like paper piecing. There's that one in there. So there we go, and then build that up accordingly. What do you think? Is that going to work? Doesn't matter if you say no. Let's put that back up. let's just add something just to balance it maybe in there. Brenda thinks it worked beautifully. Thank you, Brenda, for your confidence. There's that one in there. And of course, with these bits that are left over, you could cut those out and use those on cards anyway. Use these elements if you wished. So you could go mad and actually cut the whole lot out and then make, you know, sort of 2 cards out of it, couldn't you? So let me just pop this one on, stick them down, and then we'll decide if it worked or not. Just going to take that little end off. There we go. So sorry I've gone on a bit longer this morning than I usually do. Okay, so this one is up here. Looks too busy now. Okay, what do we think? Just like that? Yes, I knew you were going to say that. What background colour? And that's a great question. The thing is, I think you could do almost anything behind. I could use your purple for you. That would definitely work, wouldn't it? Okay, let me just adhere these down quickly. So just making sure I put them the right way round. There we go. I think Mango Melody would look nice behind as well. So I don't think it matters that not all the flowers are complete. You know, maybe you've got a little edge of a petal missing. It's the overall look that we're after. We'll find how that one goes. There it is. And of course, you could do these in multiple colours, as I said. If you've got time on your hands, that would definitely work. I'm going to leave that one as it is. This one here. Suggested by Utah. So literally just dotting some glue on. The secret is not to have too, you just don't want to you don't want to overcook it with glue, because you don't want the glue seeping out everywhere. You could also use our fine tip glue that has a very fine precision point. There's that one. So I've got 3 there, 3 there actually, that might work. So these two are together. So I'm just going to dot a little bit round here. Like so. and that one. There we go. Oop. There we are. It's very slightly off. There we go. Right, just going to try Mango Melody behind, or crushed curry. I've got a piece of crushed curry to hand. Oh, I quite like that. And this one, oh, it came there, didn't it? Yes, it does sort of connect the two, doesn't it? So I'm going to put that one on. So yes, user says Mango Melody. So this is crushed curry, so I will try mango as well. Mango slightly more orange. And don't forget, we have new colours coming up in May. And normally we just have the 5 current 2021 to 2023 colours retiring, but this year we have a colour refresh, which means that Stampin' Up review all of the colours. Thank you, Jeanette. And some will move around. We might get some old favourites back again, we might get some old in colours back again. So if you do have a favourite colour that you don't think you can be without on your craft table, then don't leave it too late to order any supplies. Obviously we won't know what's staying until the new catalogue is available to us. Let me just try Mango Melody. See what you think. So yeah, slightly brighter. So there's our choice. Mango Melody. Or crushed curry. I'm not sure that actually you can see the difference on camera. It's quite dramatic difference here for me. I think I'm preferring the crushed curry. I think. Right, so let's do this and finish this one up. It's way past our finish time. So I'm just going to map that straight onto the card. So let's just trim this down. So I'm going to score the whole thing and then cut one layer off. There we go. Okay, so I need to trim a little bit off one side. Okay, so that will work and then a tiny bit off either side. Like 2 millimeters. And it's always just best to keep trying rather than just think, oh yeah, I need to take off a bit more, and then find you've taken too much off. I appreciate it's really close. Yep, that's going to work. And I think I'm going to trim a little bit of that top, sorry, just to make it a little bit more even. And it may mean that I trim my card down so I've got an even border. We'll see. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Okay, so, and what I might do, obviously, is add a bit of that on the inside. Any bits I've got left over. Okay, so same technique, just a little line of glue across the top. Dot it where you've got some larger components. There we go. Look a bit in there. There we go. What I'm going to do is position this slightly at the bottom, and then I'm going to trim the top off. Okay. Whoops. And then we're just about done, and I'll just about need a cup of coffee. And then on the inside I'm actually going to place a white sheet of card, and I will add, I've just trimmed this piece down, tidy it and pop it on the inside, and I may cut off 1 or 2 of the other pieces. So there we go. I hope that's given you some ideas on what to do with that die from Two Tone Flora. You can buy the stamps and the dies as a bundle and save yourself 10%, and the price is £22 for the stamp set. If you buy the bundle together with the dies, which are normally £37, then it's £53 instead of £59, so saving yourselves £6. So there we go. There's the one that I used the blending brushes, coloured the panels in. And if you spotted a bit that was still too light, because we put it on the black, I think you could easily go back over. So if I wanted to add a little bit more blue, you could easily do that now, because we mounted it onto black card. Or I could add a yellow flower or 2 for Catherine. So there's that one there with the blending brushes, and obviously we also had the offcut, the background version of that. It's very light, but you could easily darken that up again. Just put another layer on top. I just didn't want to concentrate on that too much. And then this one was the correcting the mistake where I trimmed off too much. Just place the black layers onto the white. You could do the reverse of that, white onto the black, and add a sentiment across the middle. Okay, so I hope you like those. Thank you for sticking with me if you got all the way through to the end. I appreciate that. And I shall be back tomorrow evening, that's Thursday, the 23rd of March, at 7 p.m. UK time. So I hope you're able to join me, and I will be introducing the papers from the two-tone Flora collection. So I hope you're able to join me for our final session with our stamp set bundle. That's what you need to call it, bundle of the week. Thank you so much, everyone. Do take care. Thank you, Yuta. Jeanette, I think, has gone. Brenda, Catherine has gone. Sue was breaking up, and also Kerry and Brenda. So anybody else who's been watching, thank you so much. I really appreciate your input and taking time to watch me and support me. If I can help you with ordering any of the products, if you're based in the UK or Ireland, then just give me a shout and I'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great day. Bye for now.